Life has a strange way of testing us. Sometimes it takes us through fire. We feel like everything is burning down. Our dreams, our hopes, our confidence. But what if I told you that fire is not the end? What if the ashes are not your defeat, but the soil for your rebirth? Just like a phoenix rises stronger and brighter from its own ashes, you too have the power to rise again, not just as you were before, but far better, shining like pure gold. Think about gold for a moment. Before it becomes that shining ornament, before it sparkles in the light, it goes through intense heat. The fire removes the impurities, and what remains is pure, radiant, and priceless. Isn't life the same? Our struggles, our failures, our heartbreaks, they are not meant to destroy us, but to refine us. So, whenever you feel broken, whenever life pushes you down, remember, ashes are not your final form. They are simply the beginning of your transformation. Do not curse the fire, embrace it. Because it is shaping you into something stronger, more valuable, and more luminous than ever before. Every setback is a setup for a stronger comeback. Every tear is watering the seed of your future growth. Every fall is preparing you to rise higher. When you shine after your struggles, your light is not just for you. It becomes an inspiration for others who are still lost in their darkness. When life throws us into the fire, our natural reaction is to resist, to cry out, "Why me? Why now? Why this pain?" It feels unfair, overwhelming, and sometimes unbearable. But if we step back and truly reflect, we begin to see that the fire has a purpose. Fire has two abilities: it can destroy and it can purify. It all depends on what is placed inside it. If you throw a dry leaf into the fire, it burns to ashes and vanishes forever. But if you place gold in the fire, it doesn't disappear. It comes out shining brighter, purer, and more valuable than before. This is the secret of life's fire. It was never meant to destroy us. It was always meant to refine us. When struggles arrive, most people mistake them as punishment. They think life has turned against them. But the truth is, the greatest growth does not happen in moments of comfort. Growth is born in discomfort. Strength is forged in challenges. Resilience is created in the moments when life is hardest. Fire, in its very essence, is uncomfortable. It is hot, it is intense, it is consuming. But without the fire, gold would remain covered in impurities. Without struggle, our true potential would remain hidden under layers of fear, ego, and doubt. Think about the strongest people you know. Do you admire them because life was always easy for them? Of course not. You admire them because they went through storms, endured pain, and yet kept standing. Their struggles became their teacher. Their scars became their strength. In the same way, whatever fire you are going through right now is not a curse. It is your classroom. It is teaching you lessons that comfort could never teach. Patience, humility, faith, and courage are not learned when the sea is calm. They are learned when the waves are wild and the storm is raging. Sometimes we look at the fire and think, "This will end me." But remember, The fire cannot destroy what is real. It can only burn away what is false. When life tests you, it is burning away arrogance, burning away doubt, burning away excuses. And when the fire is done, what remains is the purest version of you, unshaken, unstoppable, and shining like gold. Imagine for a moment if life had no struggles at all. No failures, no losses, no challenges. Would we ever discover our true strength? Would we ever realize how much courage we hold within? Would we ever value success if we had never tasted defeat? The fire makes us grateful for the blessings we receive after. The fire gives meaning to the victory that follows. Without the refining process, there would be no brilliance in gold, and without struggles, there would be no brilliance in us. So the next time life places you in the fire, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What is this teaching me?" That small shift in mindset transforms suffering into growth, pain into purpose, and loss into lessons. Because the truth is simply life's fire is not your enemy. It is your refiner. It is not here to break you. It is here to shape you into someone far greater than you could have imagined. There is an ancient story that has lived in the hearts of people for centuries, the story of the phoenix. This mythical bird is said to live for hundreds of years, and when its time comes, it builds a nest, sets itself on fire, and burns completely into ashes. To many, that would look like the end, total destruction, the finish of everything. But the miracle of the phoenix is not in its life or even in its death. It is in what comes next. From those very ashes, it rises again, reborn, stronger, brighter, and more majestic than before. The phoenix reminds us of one profound truth. Endings are not always endings. Sometimes they are beginnings in disguise. Life in its raw and unpredictable way often takes us through similar cycles. There are moments when we feel burned out, when everything we built seems to collapse, when we are left standing in the ashes of our plans and dreams. It could be the loss of a relationship, the failure of a career, or the shattering of a dream we held close to our hearts. In those moments, the ashes feel heavy, suffocating, and hopeless. We think it's over. But the story of the phoenix whispers otherwise. It tells us that in the ashes of what we thought was the end lies the seed of a new beginning. When you look at the ashes of your past, your mistakes, your regrets, your failures, you may feel broken. But remember, ashes are not dead. They are rich, fertile, and filled with potential. From the ashes of burnt wood, new life often grows. From the ashes of pain, resilience takes birth. From the ashes of brokenness, strength arises. Just like the phoenix, your ashes hold the power of your rebirth. The most powerful transformations in life rarely come when everything is going right. They come when everything falls apart and you are forced to rebuild yourself from the ground up. That rebuilding is where you discover who you truly are. You shed the layers of who you thought you had to be, and you begin to rise as who you were always meant to be. Just as the phoenix is not the same after it rises. it comes back renewed and more radiant. You too are never the same after you rise from your ashes. You are wiser, stronger, and more compassionate because you know what it feels like to fall. And you know what it takes to rise again. Think of the many times in history where people hit rock bottom and then rose to greatness. Leaders who were once imprisoned later became voices of freedom. Innovators whose first ideas failed eventually created inventions that changed the world. Individuals who lost everything often found within themselves a power they never knew existed. Each of them, in their own way, lived the story of the phoenix, destroyed yet reborn, not weaker, but stronger. So, when you find yourself in the ashes, do not despair. Do not believe that your story is over. Instead, see it as the moment before your rebirth. The ashes are simply the soil of transformation. The fire may have burned away what you once were, but it has not destroyed who you can become. Your next chapter is waiting. And when you rise, you won't just rise as you were. You will rise like the phoenix, brighter, stronger, and capable of inspiring others who are still buried in their own ashes. Gold is one of the most valued treasures in the world, admired for its beauty, brilliance, and purity. But gold, in its raw form, does not look like the dazzling ornament we see in a jewelry store. When it is first mined from the earth, it is dull, mixed with dust, and filled with impurities. If someone unfamiliar saw it, they might not even recognize its worth. To bring out its true beauty, it must go through an intense process. It is placed in the furnace where it faces unbearable heat. The fire is not gentle. It burns, it melts, it shakes the very structure of the metal. But the fire has a purpose. It removes everything that is not gold. What remains after the process is pure, shining, and priceless. This journey of gold is not very different from our own lives. We all carry within us tremendous potential, brilliance, and strength, but often it remains hidden beneath layers of fear, doubt, insecurity, and past conditioning. We may not even realize our own worth until life places us in the furnace of challenges. When we face difficulties, whether in relationships, careers, health, or personal struggles, it feels like we are being consumed by fire. The pain seems unbearable, and the pressure overwhelming. Yet, just like with gold, these moments are not here to destroy us, but to refine us. Think about some of the greatest achievers, the people who inspire us. Almost none of them had an easy path. They were tested in the furnace of life. Some were rejected multiple times before they succeeded. Some faced losses so heavy that most would have given up. Yet, instead of letting the fire consume them, they allowed it to shape them. Their struggles burned away their self-doubt. Their failures melted away their arrogance, and their hardships purified their vision. What emerged from their trials was someone stronger, wiser, and more radiant than before. Someone who could shine like gold. If life had only given them comfort, would they have discovered their brilliance? Probably not. Comfort rarely brings out greatness. It is in discomfort, in challenges, in the fiery moments of life, that hidden qualities emerge. Courage cannot be built when everything is easy. Patience cannot be learned when everything is instant. Strength cannot be developed when there is no resistance. Just as fire makes gold precious, challenges make us extraordinary. At times, when you are in the middle of your furnace moment, it may feel like the fire is too strong, like you cannot survive it. But remember, gold never complains about the fire because it knows the fire is the very thing that makes it valuable. In the same way, your struggles are the pathway to your shine. The fire may hurt, but it is temporary. What it produces within you, resilience, clarity, depth, and wisdom, is permanent. One day, when you look back, you will not remember the heat as much as you will admire the shine it produced in your life. You will see how the very experiences you once feared became the reasons for your growth. Just like gold, you will realize that you are priceless, not in spite of your struggles, but because of them. When we hear the words failure or loss, our hearts immediately sink. Society has trained us to see failure as the end of the road, as proof that we are not good enough. Loss, too, feels final, like something precious has been taken from us and can never be replaced. But if we look deeper, with a different perspective, we realize that failure and loss are not full stops in the sentence of our lives. They are commas, pauses that redirect us to something greater. They are not punishments, but invitations to transform. Failure is simply life's way of saying, not this way, try another. Think about a child learning to walk. How many times does the child fall before taking those first successful steps? Countless times. Yet, no one looks at the child and says, "You failed, give up." We cheer, we encourage, we celebrate the attempts because we know falling is part of walking. But as adults, we forget this wisdom. We take our falls as final verdicts rather than stepping stones. In truth, every failure carries a hidden seed of growth. Every closed door teaches us something about resilience, persistence, and creativity. History is full of people who transformed failure into greatness. Thomas Edison is said to have failed thousands of times before perfecting the light bulb. When asked about his failures, he replied that he didn't fail. He discovered thousands of ways that didn't work. Imagine if he had seen those failures as the end, we might still be living in darkness. What transformed Edison's failure into success was not avoiding mistakes, but embracing them, learning from them, and moving forward with renewed wisdom. Loss, too, often feels unbearable. Losing a job, a relationship, an opportunity, or even a loved one can break us. Yet loss, painful as it is, can open us to new beginnings we would have never considered otherwise. Sometimes, in the losing what we thought we could not live without teaches us that we are stronger than we realized. Sometimes it creates space for new blessings that could not have entered our lives otherwise. Loss clears the ground, and in that clearing, new seeds can be planted. When a forest fire rages through the woods, it seems like devastation. The trees are gone, the ground is blackened, the beauty is destroyed. But wait a little, and you will see something remarkable. Out of the ashes, new shoots begin to grow. The fire, which looked like pure destruction, actually prepared the ground for new life. In the same way, our losses often prepare the soil of our hearts for growth that we could never have imagined before. The most inspiring people are not those who never faced failure or loss, but those who transformed their pain into purpose. They fell, but they did not stay down. They lost, but they did not lose themselves. They allowed their struggles to carve depth into their character and vision into their spirit. So when you face failure or loss, do not call it beginning. Call it a beginning. Do not see it as destruction, see it as transformation. Because sometimes what feels like breaking is actually making. And sometimes in the greatest stories of rebirth and triumph are written in the ink of failure and the ashes of loss. Pain and struggle are often seen as enemies, things we want to avoid at all costs. We pray for ease, for smooth roads, for days without obstacles. But life, in its mysterious wisdom, does not always grant us comfort. Instead, it gives us moments of pain, times of struggle, and seasons of hardship. At first, these feel unfair, almost cruel. Yet if we pay attention, we realize that pain and struggle are not here to break us, they are here to cleanse us. They strip away the layers of fear, doubt, and ego that cover our true selves, leaving behind something more authentic, stronger, and pure. Fear is one of the heaviest chains we carry. It stops us from taking risks, from speaking our truth, from pursuing our dreams. Left unchecked, fear convinces us to live small, to settle, to hide. But when life pushes us into struggles, when pain becomes unavoidable, fear begins to lose its grip. For example, a person who once feared rejection may find themselves rejected multiple times. At first it hurts deeply, but slowly they realize they can survive rejection and fear no longer controls them. Struggle, in this way, dissolves the illusions fear builds. Pain teaches us that we are stronger than we thought, and that what we feared was never as powerful as we imagined. Doubt is another impurity that keeps us from living fully. Self-doubt whispers, "You are not capable. You are not worthy. You cannot do this." It paralyzes us before we even try. Yet, when struggles come, we are forced to act. And in those moments, when we push ourselves beyond what we believed possible, doubt begins to fade. Imagine someone running a marathon. At mile 10, their mind screams, "You can't go further." But they take one more step, then another, and before they know it, they cross the finish line. In the process, doubt has been burned away by struggle. Pain shows them that they were capable of much more than they ever allowed themselves to believe. And then there is ego, perhaps the trickiest impurity of all. Ego convinces us that we are always right, that we are invincible, that we are better than others. But when struggle knocks at our door, ego shatters. Pain humbles us. It reminds us that we are human, that we are not above failure, and that we need others to walk alongside us. Losing something precious, facing rejection, or enduring hardship teaches us compassion for others who suffer. Ego dissolves in the fire of pain, and what remains is humility, a humility that allows us to connect more deeply with others and to live with gratitude. If life were only comfortable, we would cling tightly to fear, doubt, and ego because there would be nothing to challenge them. We would never question their hold on us. But struggles act like a refining fire, melting away the impurities that dim our shine. After walking through pain, we emerge lighter, freer, and more authentic. We no longer carry the weight of fear, the burden of doubt, or the pride of ego. Instead, we carry strength, confidence, and humility. So, the next time you feel the weight of pain pressing on your heart, try to see beyond the discomfort. Ask yourself, what is this moment burning away in me? Which fear is being destroyed? Which doubt is being silenced? Which layer of ego is being stripped off? Because the truth is, pain is not just something you endure. It is something that transforms you. It is the fire that burns away what you are not, so that what you truly are can finally shine through. Setbacks are a part of every journey. No one has ever walked through life without stumbling, falling, or being pushed back. And yet, when setbacks come, our first thought is often, this is the end. I've lost everything. I can't move forward. But if we take a closer look, setbacks are not the end of our story. They are simply pauses, redirections, and setups for something far greater. What feels like a breakdown is often just the preparation for a breakthrough. Think about a slingshot. If you place a stone in it, the further you pull it back, the greater the force with which it flies forward. In the same way, life's setbacks may feel like you are being pulled backward, away from your goals, away from your dreams. But what you cannot see in that moment is that the pullback is creating momentum. When the time is right, you will be released with a force far greater than you imagine, and you will soar higher than before. The setback was never meant to keep you down. It was designed to launch you forward. Many of the most successful people faced painful setbacks before their greatest comebacks. Famous athletes have been benched, injured, or underestimated, only to return stronger and prove everyone wrong. Entrepreneurs have faced bankruptcy, rejection, and failure multiple times before creating businesses that transformed industries. Leaders have faced opposition, even exile, only to rise again and change the course of history. Their setbacks were not signs of weakness, but turning points, moments that prepared them for their comebacks. When you experience a setback, it teaches you lessons that success never could. It sharpens your focus, deepens your resilience, and humbles your spirit. It forces you to reflect on your mistakes, adapt your strategy, and strengthen your determination. Without the setback, you might have rushed forward unprepared. With it, you gain the wisdom and strength necessary for lasting success. Consider the story of seeds planted in the soil. At first, It looks like they have been buried, pressed down into darkness. But that burial is not the end. It is the beginning. The seed is not buried, it is planted. And soon it breaks through the soil, rising toward the light, stronger and greener than before. Our setbacks are very much like that. They may feel like a burial, but in reality, they are plantings. Life is preparing us to break through in ways we could not imagine. The beauty of a comeback is that it always carries power. It inspires not just you, but everyone who sees you rise again. People do not admire those who never fall. They admire those who fall and still rise. Your comeback becomes a beacon for others. Proof that no matter how far you've been pushed back, it is always possible to rise again, often stronger than before. So the next time you find yourself facing a setback, change the story in your mind. Instead of saying, "This is the end," tell yourself, "This is my setup." Instead of seeing defeat, see preparation. Because every setback is secretly a setup, and every setup is waiting for its comeback moment. And when that moment comes, you won't just recover what you lost, you'll rise higher, stronger, and brighter than ever. Tears are often seen as signs of weakness. We are taught to hide them, to wipe them away quickly, to pretend they do not exist. Yet, if you think about it, tears are among the purest expressions of the human soul. They are born from the deepest parts of our heart, from love, from loss, from struggle, from hope. And like rain that falls upon dry soil, tears do not come to destroy. They come to water the seeds of growth hidden within us. Imagine a farmer preparing his land. Before any crop can grow, the soil must be softened, nourished, and watered. Without rain, the seeds lie dormant, locked within the earth, unable to break free. But when the rain comes, the soil loosens, the seeds swell, and soon new life pushes upward. In the same way, our challenges and our tears act as rain for the soil of our lives. Without them, many of our inner strengths would remain buried, unknown, and undeveloped. Think about the times you have cried the hardest or faced the heaviest challenges. Did those moments leave you the same? Probably not. They carved depth into your character. They made you more empathetic, more resilient, and more appreciative of life. A person who has never cried may appear strong on the outside, but their strength is shallow. True strength is born when life has broken you, when you've wept in silence, when you've questioned if you can go on, and yet, somehow, you found the courage to rise again. That is the kind of strength that cannot be taken away. Challenges, too, are not punishments but teachers. A tree that grows in still weather develops shallow roots. But a tree that faces strong winds pushes its roots deep into the ground, making it unshakable. Our struggles do the same for us. They push our roots deeper, into patience, into wisdom, into faith. They teach us lessons we could never learn in easy times. The seed of courage only grows when watered by challenge. The seed of compassion only grows when watered by tears. Even in nature, some of the most beautiful flowers bloom only after the rain. The desert may look barren and lifeless most of the year, but after a storm, wildflowers suddenly bloom in colors that seem impossible in such a harsh place. Our lives mirror this truth. When storms pass through us, when challenges shake us and tears fall freely, something beautiful begins to bloom within us. We discover resilience we didn't know we had. We discover a tenderness that allows us to connect with others. We discover strength that grows quietly in the shadows of our pain. Tears also connect us to others in ways nothing else can. When we have suffered, we understand suffering. When we have cried, we know how to comfort someone else's tears. The growth that comes through our challenges is not only for us. It makes us a source of comfort and hope for others who are struggling. So never look down upon your tears and never despise your challenges. They are not signs of weakness or curses of fate. They are rainstorms sent to water your inner seeds. And though the storm may feel heavy now, it is preparing the ground for a harvest of strength, resilience, and wisdom that will one day make you shine in ways you cannot yet imagine. Every struggle we face in life feels heavy while we are in the middle of it. It feels like a burden pressing on our chest, like a mountain we cannot climb. We ask ourselves, why me? Why now? Why this pain? But if we pause and look at life with a deeper perspective, we realize that struggles are not random punishments, they are preparation. They are like invisible training grounds where life strengthens us, not for where we are, but for where we are going. Our struggles today are quietly equipping us for a higher rise tomorrow. Consider the process of building a skyscraper. Before the building rises high into the sky, workers first dig deep into the ground. The deeper they want to build, the stronger and deeper the foundation must be. To someone watching, the digging looks like going backward, like going down instead of up. But without that depth, the building could never rise safely. In the same way, when we go through struggles, it may look like we are going down, into pain, into setbacks, into hardship. But really, life is laying the foundation for a greater rise. The deeper the struggle, the stronger the rise that follows. Think of an eagle learning to fly. The mother eagle makes the nest uncomfortable, removing the soft grass and leaving behind thorns and sticks. The eaglet struggles, feels unsafe, and is eventually pushed out of the nest. At first, it seems cruel, even painful. But in that very struggle, the eaglet discovers its wings. It learns to rise into the sky because of the challenge, not in spite of it. Without the discomfort, the eaglet would never leave the nest. Without the push, it would never soar. Our struggles work in the same way. They push us out of our comfort zones, forcing us to discover wings we never knew we had. Struggles also act as mirrors, showing us what we are truly capable of. When everything is easy, we operate only within our known limits. But when life becomes hard, we are forced to reach deeper within ourselves, to call upon strength, creativity, and resilience that we did not realize existed. A student who thinks they cannot solve a difficult problem when pressed by exams, finds new focus and intelligence. A person facing a health crisis discovers courage and patience they never knew they possessed. In each case, the struggle uncovers hidden reserves of strength, preparing them to rise higher in life. If you look at a bow and arrow, the arrow must first be pulled backward before it can be shot forward. The greater the pullback, the farther the arrow flies. Struggles are like that pullback, painful, uncomfortable, and sometimes confusing. But they are not signs of defeat, they are signs of preparation. The very fact that you are being tested so strongly may mean that life is preparing you for a rise greater than you can currently imagine. The beauty of this truth is that when you finally rise after your struggles, you do not rise as the same person you were before. You rise wiser, stronger, and more compassionate. You rise with scars that have become stories, with pain that has become purpose, with lessons that have become light. And when you rise, you do not just rise for yourself. You rise as an inspiration for others who are still in their struggles. So, never mistake your current struggles as the end. They are the chisels shaping you, the fire refining you, the winds training your wings. Every struggle is secretly preparing you for a higher rise, one that will take you beyond your past limits and into the fullness of your potential.